Tensions in the South China Sea have escalated sharply as the Philippines publicly rejected Beijing's sweeping claims over large swaths of the waterway. The disputed region, known to Manila as the West Philippine Sea, has long been a focal point of geopolitical contestation in Southeast Asia, drawing attention from regional powers and the broader international community. Its strategic importance is undeniable. It is one of the world's busiest maritime corridors, carrying trillions of dollars in annual trade, rich in fisheries, and believed to hold significant energy resources. The Philippines' assertion of sovereign rights encompasses areas such as Scarborough Shoal, Bago-de-Masin Lock, and the Spratly Islands. China, however, continues to insist that its so-called nine-dash line grants of historic rights over nearly the entire South China Sea. This fundamental disagreement has fueled repeated confrontations and strained diplomatic relations. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs recently issued a forceful statement addressing what it described as misleading claims from the Chinese embassy that suggested Manila had conceded Scarborough Shoal was not part of its territory. Sovereignty is not merely claimed, it is exercised. The Philippines has done precisely that, consistently and without interruption, said Department of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Rogelio Villanueva Jr. Sado. China must be reminded that maritime and territorial claims are subject to established international legal procedures and dispute settlement mechanisms, not through unilateral proclamations or social media posts. The statement underscores Manila's reliance on international law and historical evidence, including the landmark 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. That ruling invalidated much of China's legal basis for its claims and reaffirmed the Philippines' rights within its exclusive economic zone, including access to fishing and marine seas. Despite Beijing's refusal to recognize the tribunal's decision, Manila has continued to uphold the ruling as central to its diplomatic approach. The rejection of Beijing's claims comes amid repeated maritime confrontations between Philippine and Chinese vessels. Philippine authorities have reported incidents involving the China Coast Guard and maritime militia using water cannons and aggressive maneuvers near contested features. Manila has condemned these actions as harassment and coercive, highlighting the risks posed to Filipino mariners. One notable incident occurred in October 2025 when Philippine authorities said Chinese Coast Guard vessels rammed a Filipino government ship near Thitu Island, part of the Spratly archipelago. The Philippine Coast Guard stated that its vessel was supporting local fishing operations in waters within Manila's recognized jurisdiction. China, conversely, claimed the Philippine vessel was operating illegally within its claimed territory. More wreck. In May 2026, the Philippines deployed aircraft to issue warnings to a Chinese research vessel operating near Iroquois Reef, asserting that these waters fall within Manila's jurisdiction. The Philippine government described the move as a protective measure for lawful activities in its waters, emphasizing that any unauthorized operations would not be tolerated. These confrontations have also shaped Manila's engagement with allies. In response to rising maritime tension, the Philippines has sought to deepen defense collaboration with like-minded nations. In 2026, Manila signed a visiting forces agreement with France to facilitate joint training exercises and interoperability between the two countries' armed forces. Similarly, the Philippines and Japan inked strategic defense pacts to strengthen cooperation on logistics, supplies, and mutual support, reflecting shared concerns over regional security and stability. Joint exercises with the United States, including the recurring BALIC. 10 drills have further underscored the strategic importance of Manila's alliances. While these exercises aim to bolster readiness and demonstrate deterrence, they have occasionally stirred domestic debate over sovereignty and economic considerations. Nonetheless, the Philippine government frames these collaborations as essential for safeguarding national interests amid assertive behavior by China. Diplomatic tensions have paralleled maritime confrontations. In early 2026, the Philippines publicly rebuked the Chinese embassy over what it described as coercive warnings, suggesting that Philippine employment prospects could be affected if relations deteriorated. Manila emphasized that sovereign rights and lawful operations cannot be subjected to intimidation. And analysts have noted that Beijing's messaging reflects growing frustration with Manila's legal and diplomatic pushback. While some observers speculate on limited avenues for dialogue, a full reset in relations appears unlikely in the near term, given the complex geopolitical dynamics and domestic pressures on both sides. Philippine officials have consistently underscored that their stance is grounded in international law rather than confrontation. Beyond government statements, legislators and policy experts have demanded respect for the Philippines' exclusive economic zone rights under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UN CLOS, warning that China's expansive claims violate established norms. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has positioned himself at the center of Manila's South China Sea strategy. The administration has emphasized a balance between defending territorial rights and maintaining avenues for diplomacy. Marcos has repeatedly stressed that the Philippines does not seek conflict but will vigorously defend its sovereignty under international law. We do not aim to provoke, but we will defend our territorial integrity and resources as guaranteed under international conventions. Marcos stated during a recent briefing, the president's approach underscores Manila's commitment to lawful action while projecting firmness in the face of Chinese assertiveness. Philippine authorities highlight that patrols, maritime support for fishermen, and diplomatic engagement all reflect lawful exercise of sovereignty. The administration maintains that these actions are consistent with the 2016 arbitral ruling and are designed to protect Filipino interests without escalating into armed conflict. China's refusal to acknowledge the tribunal has become a focal point for Manila, which argues that allowing such claims to go unchallenged could set dangerous precedents for other maritime disputes. The Philippines positions itself as upholding a rules-based order, emphasizing that international law and dispute resolution mechanisms, not unilateral force, must govern contested waters. The South China Sea is also a vital economic artery for the region. Its shipping lanes carry trillions of dollars in annual trade, while its fishing grounds provide livelihoods for millions. The potential for hydrocarbon exploration further raises the stakes, making the stability of the waters a regional concern. Manila has repeatedly highlighted the importance of freedom of navigation and secure maritime passage as essential for both national and regional security. The growing assertiveness of China has drawn attention from regional powers, including Japan, Australia, and the United States, all of whom emphasize the importance of a rules-based approach. These countries have conducted freedom of navigation operations and engaged in diplomatic discussions to ensure that unilateral actions do not threaten the broader strategic equilibrium. For Southeast Asia, the Philippines' firm stance represents a larger trend of middle powers asserting sovereignty while navigating the influence of larger regional actors. Manila's engagement underscores how smaller states can employ legal, diplomatic, and strategic measures to protect national interests. Amid rising tensions, observers have also pointed to the broader geopolitical implications of the dispute. Beyond bilateral tensions, the South China Sea has become a litmus test for regional security frameworks and the resilience of international law. Manila's approach, grounded in legal principles, maritime presence, and alliance building, is increasingly seen as an example for other nations with similar territorial concerns. As confrontations continue at sea and diplomatic exchanges unfold, Manila's rejection of Beijing's territorial claims represents a definitive statement of principle. The Philippines is asserting its rights through legal channels, maritime presence, and allied partnerships, while signaling that any attempt to override its sovereignty will be met with consistent and measured response. Observers emphasize that the dispute in the South China Sea will continue to test regional security arrangements and the balance between national rights and great power ambitions. For Manila, the priority remains clear: protect the nation's territorial integrity, uphold international law, and manage tensions without provoking conflict. We will defend our people, our waters, and our rights without escalation, guided by law and evidence, Marcos affirmed, reflecting the administration's commitment to a principled, measured, and strategic approach. The coming months and years will be crucial in determining whether Manila's stance, combined with regional partnerships and adherence to international legal frameworks, can effectively counter expansive claims and maintain stability in one of the world's most strategically vital maritime regions.